Sorry. Hey everybody, I'm Mike at FilmBoy24, and today we're going to try to sync some sound to my Arri 16S. So many things to test. Just got this Arriflex 16S 16mm movie camera, thanks to my beautiful, wonderful wife, Nicole, and it came with a variable speed motor, which is standard for most of these cameras back in the day. And my youngest daughter just decided to step in. Do you want to say hi real quick? Watch the wire. Say hi, this is Piper. Everybody say hi to Piper. Say hi. Okay, can I finish? Can I have a high five? Show your tooth. You just lost your first tooth. All right. Love you, baby.
This is our dog named Ellie.
And that's our dog named Ellie. That's right. She's a little... What kind of dog is she?
She's a chihuahua.
Don't trip on the cord, please. Thank you. I love you. Okay, I'm going to finish, okay? Love you, beautiful. And that was Piper. And she seems to be way more interested in film and film cameras and film photography than my older daughter. So let me keep her going. So I wanted to test this out for a couple of reasons. The obvious being I wanted to see if it scratched film. I wanted to see if it ran properly. I wanted to see if it exposed film. So what better way to test out a brand new Arriflex than to use an old expired roll of Vidion 2 7218 500T. Now I process and scan all of my own film up to 100 feet in length, so keep that in mind when you see the results. They're quite uneven, and this is a very old stock, 10-15 years old, probably older. So keep all that in mind. I don't know what the storage conditions were on that film. Anyway, I wanted to test the camera for those types of things. I also wanted to test out this Georg Jensen 24 frames per second crystal sync motor. It's as simple as undoing the lever here, pulling the old motor out, which is this one, inserting the new motor, making sure to line up the little pin with the little pinhole there, lock it in place, and now your crystal sync. Now, these cameras are not made for sync sound. They're really not. They're loud. They're very loud cameras. So I kept that in mind, which is why I used my little cheapo lapel mic into what I always record in, my little Tascam recorder. So it kept it, you know, far enough away and right under me talking to eliminate most of the camera noise. Now I'm going to plug this in and let you hear just how loud these cameras are. They're MOS cameras. They're made for news gathering and things like that back in the day. However, if you do it right, and there's a couple ways you can do it, you can blimp them, which is probably not ideal because it's very difficult to blimp these cameras. The noise comes from everywhere, including the front, the back, the bottom, the top, everywhere. And you want to be able to have access to the controls. But it's possible. Another way is to simply boom your subject with a directional microphone. And that essentially keeps most of the audio in front of your microphone so that the camera end isn't heard, or at least it in theory isn't heard as much. The third way is a lapel mic, which is probably the easiest way to isolate my voice or anyone's voice away from the camera. Now you probably will hear a little bit of camera noise because, like I said, this one's quite loud, like all Arri 16S cameras. They did make a blimp for this camera. They don't anymore. You can find them. I think there's one on eBay right now. They're asking a fortune for it, so I'm staying away from it. But it's an entire housing that you put this camera inside that has a window in the front, and it has the connectors on the outside, and you're able to control the camera somewhat from the outside of the blimp. It's supposed to keep it really, really quiet. Haven't tried it, don't know. The camera came just as you see it, however, with this variable speed motor and this power cable, which is the original power cable, the 2-pin to 4-pin XLR, didn't come with a battery. So I had to sort of mic rig a battery. To do that, these are 8-volt cameras unless they have been converted, these motors, to 12-volt. The 400-foot magazines, which I use very rarely because I, again, process my own film and I don't process 400 feet. The torque motors are 8-volt unless converted to 12-volt. So I figured 9.6-volt recharging would be fine. So I took a little battery, cheapo battery box that I got on eBay. Let me open it up here. And I put 8 rechargeable AA batteries. Now these batteries are 1.2 volt, not like your Duracells or Energizers, your alkaline batteries that are 1.5 volt. So this is a total of 9.6 volts. Now I'm working on a couple other battery packs that will be very much closer to the 8-volt range, which is what I really want for this. But in the meantime, these are fine. I ripped all the old wiring out of this and I ran my own wire. I cut the on-off switch out and I simply ran from positive to negative. These batteries are in series. I then soldered on the female 4-pin XLR on the other end. It's only pins 1 and 4 that are used in this cable, 4 being the positive, 1 being the negative. And the only issue I have with this one is the little springs and the connectors don't always connect perfectly, so you got to squeeze it. I got other solutions that I'm working on right now, and I'm building an entire pack, all enclosed, a couple of battery packs for this. So stay tuned. So what I do is just plug this in, the 2-pin, and it has a little catch here in the back. A little clip that keeps the cable from pulling out, which is nice. You then take the opposite end, the XLR male, into the female, and voila. Now, as long as this battery pack is, you know, they're touching, pretty loud. There's no film in the camera now, but now you can see why it's imperative that if you're doing any kind of sync sound work, you either work far away from the camera, or you blimp the camera, or you use microphones that won't pick up this camera's noise. One more time, this is the decibels of this camera with this motor. And that's running precisely at 24 frames per second. At least that's what I was hoping with this little crystal motor. Let's find out, because I'm going to show you my results of my crystal sync test, and I did absolutely zero stretching of either the audio or the video or the film. Here it is. So this is my new to me Arriflex 16S 16mm movie camera. Now that camera came, I'm trying to sync up the sound to see if my Georg Jensen Crystal Sync 24 frames per second motor runs properly with my mic rigged 9.6 volt battery. Now the camera originally came with this sort of a variable speed Arriflex motor. A very good motor. This one's in pristine condition like my camera. And I'm shooting this with, one second, a 10mm f1.8 lens. Now I metered all of this 500T Vision dose film at 320, mainly for the age of the film. It's a little bit older, so I am doing my best. I have a timer over here. You get about 2 minutes and 45 seconds of runtime with one 100-foot load of 16mm movie film. And again, really the purpose behind this particular video, first and foremost, test my Arriflex. This is the very first time that I put film through the Arriflex. I want to make sure it doesn't scratch it, make sure that it runs at proper speeds. And secondly, to test the Georg Jensen sync motor that I have on the camera right now. That motor came sort of as a freebie with a bunch of other stuff that I had purchased. Some old Arri magazines, and there was a bunch of stuff in this big lot of things that I had purchased. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tail slate this, because I got to try to sync it up later in post. So let's do that now. Marked it. And now we're just sort of free talking. I don't know how well this is going to turn out, but yibba-da-ha, yibba-da-ha. There's my timer. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing. Love you all. Can you cancel, please? I guess it can't. I'm super, super impressed with the way it synced up. Again, like I said just before I showed the clip, I did zero stretching of either the film or the audio. I simply aligned the front. Actually, all I really needed to do was align the front slate. I did tail slate it. There was no need to align the tail slate. It aligned perfectly on its own. And I even recorded a little bit after the tail slate, and it stayed in perfect sync for the entire 2.5 minutes. I'm very encouraged by the results. The image was rock steady, which I'm super happy about. The sound synced perfectly with this old Georg Jensen motor. And one of these days, I'm going to shoot a feature film on either Super 8 or 16 millimeter. I'm just getting it ready. If this is the kind of video that you enjoy, do me a huge favor. Punch that like button. Subscribe. And don't forget, batteries kill unused cameras. And until the very next time I see you, I'll see you on the next go-around.